Okay, let's get started tonight before I forget the limited rules. I'm sure, at least the setup rules. So, green is going to have to make the first choice. And there are a number of factors that kind of go into making a choice. One of them is quite simply, hey, what's the value of the crap that's along the edge? Here's a big 9 here. That's really, really tempting. Another, though, is what kind of expectation can I have? And obviously there's another 9 here. What kind of expectation can I have towards getting these? Because these are also very important. So, what looks the best? Now, I'm tempted to go with one of the 9s. This one is somewhat appealing because I have a second bubble hive there. Yes, there's more hives overall up here. The hive gives you an advantage if you've got multiple colonies in the same sector. It doesn't have to be hive worlds, it's anywhere on the board if you have that race advantage. On the other hand, the stuff near here isn't very valuable. Other places don't look terribly good. This one looks rich moving into there. And I'd be able to get the Wargers who say, hey, lots of bases. Now that's an expensive proposition to say you're going to go for that right away. I'm going to jump down here. I'm not sure it's the best choice, but we'll see. Now, actually, what I ought to do is look at my cards. 2 discovery missions, choose a sector with no ban, resolve military control. You get the least valuable colony in that sector. It's got to be a place where you don't have any. Now that kind of fits nicely with the humanoids. And there is a humanoid sector here, but again, it's not around a lot of wealth. So I'm going to go with this. Let's look at Yellow's cards. See what he has. A force field. None of your colonies can be removed by any means, including rival military control and some cards here. But that only lasts for a turn. Alien Embassy, put a colony token on any loyalty pledge. The token stays regardless who owns it, and adds 1 to your tally of colonized sectors when calculating that species' loyalty. That's kind of a neat advantage too. See, I've got another 9 right here. I could go for an 8 up here, but this is a very nice rich area. I'm going to go for that just because I'm right next to some 8s there. That brings me to red. Red's choices. Wormhole allows your flag, well, it allows you to choose any flagship and jump it anywhere you like. That's kind of cool. Choose a sector with at least 4 of your colonies in the vicinity. Remember, adjacent sectors, including the current sector, and replace the least valuable rival colony with one of your own. Now that's very tempting for a hive position. So I'm going to start red over here. And you can see, wow, the whole board is all the way over here. Well, blue definitely wants to be on this side of the board. The most valuable space is here, but there's riches over here, but let them fight over that. I think I'm going to go for this one. I've got the discovery. Choose a sector. No colonies or bases. Colonize the best. And a rebellion. Select a sector for which you hold the loyalty pledge. Place a rival military base with one of your colonies. That can be useful too. I'm going to jump in here. Okay, so now we start with blue, and that's going to make my life easier to remember because I'm so used to doing the counterclockwise movement. Remember, I did the opposite for the selection. So now it's blue's turn. I'm going to slap myself a colony down here. I grab the humanoids who get a bonus from sharing with other people. Now, strangely enough for me, I'm on the other side of the board from everyone else. but I may not be terribly interested in this. I chose not to move my spaceship. I built something, so I get to roll the die. And my band gets placed here, which means nobody else can build there. Well, nobody's liable to anyhow, so that's all fine and dandy. For red, I drop this in the valuable location. I grab the hive, bonus for multiple in the same, and I roll a die. Next player's band. Next player is going to be yellow. His band goes there. Doesn't really make much difference there. Now for this, I want to grab that. I'll take the Wargers. The chance of holding on to these is low, but like in an XX game, if you're the first person with that multiple, you have something of a bonus. Whether or not this is going to be my long-term goal to be a military power, I don't know. You know, at this point, it's hard to tell what you want. I get a card option. Now, I could either play one of my cards. This is interesting. This bonus alien embassy. I could hold on to the advantage of total colony sectors. So if I put that on one of these, say the crystalloids, I get bonuses on crappy bases. And the Sapiente, its fewest military bases. Well, I don't want to play both the most and fewest particularly. I'm going to instead just draw a card and see what I get here. It's a surprise attack. I select an incomplete sector, one that hasn't been completely filled, that has at least one of my military bases. I take the most valuable rival colony with one of my own. It's a neat little ability. The force field cancels it out, of course. And now we're to the final player of this round, which is the green player. And the green player, he has the option. He could slide forward and grab a base here. Now what's advantageous about that is I'm kind of cutting yellow off perhaps with this, and I still can build my base down here, and I'll grab the crystalloids. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move, drop one of these. I get the crystalloid bonus because I would not get a bonus here. The hive's already in someone's hands. And now I roll this wooden die, which I never trust wooden dice. And it's the next player's band. So now the blue band comes up and goes over on my sector. Alright, let's see. I think this is our second time around the board. It's hard to tell, it's morning. Gotta figure out what I'm doing with blue. Now he has the humanoids. He wants to share with other people if he can hold on to that. But holding on to that is not necessarily a trivial thing. What I've got to do first is I've got to move my ship because I already have colonial. I have a colonial presence here, so I can move out to anywhere anyway. So I'm going to try to get out to those people. Now the question here is, the most valuable, I'm moving here because the most valuable spaces that are next to me are 3s. And I guess it doesn't really matter. I should be trying to get near other people. Now, building a colony is either flagship or an extension. I'm going to extend into here to help hold on to the humanoids because I can't take anything from anyone else. And I'm not really interested in fighting over getting the Wargers. The hive is probably going to be very hard for me. So this seems like it's going to be my position for the game, even though I'm not necessarily in the best position to handle being being integrated with other players. That'll come as it goes. Now the next person's band goes in there. That's the red band, and that goes into the space where I built the colony, which happens to be the ship, but there's a distinction. Okay, for red, I'm not going to be able to build here, which is fine. I'm the only person with a little hive thing, so that's kind of cool. The most valuable thing near me are humanoids. Now I can build there no matter what. My hive says I want to have lots and lots of things in the same places. I'm going to shift my ship out here, largely because I can grow in this direction, but then I can set up another colony or base or whatever out here. So I'm going to throw a colony into the most valuable space here, and again, I just roll the die for the enemy player. And it's the next player's ban. Alright, now for yellow, anything exciting here? I want to have the most military bases. Yeah. I'm in direct conflict with another player, essentially. I'm in an area where another player is. So I have to start thinking about bases. But I also want to gain this colony, and I kind of want to position myself more towards the center. So I'm going to go for that. And I'll roll the rather suspect die, and now my ban goes there. You can see these don't have a lot of effect. They just present sort of a temporary you can't play situation. So green now has these crystalloids. I like the crystalloids. They get a big bonus off 1-point territories, but there's a 9-point territory next to me. I'm not going to give that up or let anybody get near that particularly. So I've got to decide to move my ship first. I'll sail out here. I don't have to grab those 1-pointers right away. Nobody else is competing for the crystalloids, so I'm going to grab this big 9-pointer at this point in the game. And now this is the key spot, not where my ship is. And I get a card play, or draw. So my choices are discovery missions, choose a sector in which I have no colonies, colonize the least valuable available system. Oh, I'm just making sure I haven't gotten... Okay, we had a problem here. This actually resolved military control. Now, there are no bases next to it, so that meant nothing, but I'm just indicating, once you fill out a system, that's what happens. So here's the thing. I'm interested in looking for the most valuable system that only has, or the most valuable system that's alone in a space, or the lowest most valuable system. I'm seeing these 4s here. They're kind of appealing. They're near me. This can be used to expand out. On the other hand, I've got the crystalloids, which are kind of cool too, because they give me a bonus for 1s. Here's an unclaimed power I could grab. I'm going to play this card. And these are all discarded as soon as they're used. I'm going to expand into this system. And that gives me a Sapiente card. Now, why did I want this? Well, because I have the crystalloids. So I have +5 for going into a 1. So it actually works out very, very nicely for me. And these guys want to have few military bases. I probably won't need a lot of military bases because I'm interested in 1-point areas. So maybe not spending my effort on military bases will work out well for me. On the other hand, I don't really feel like I'm terribly committed to keeping these. That was just kind of an added bonus for a 1 space that I could grab. Alright, time to... I said before, these games with no story, it's very hard for me to present them without presenting every decision. So I'm just going to kind of play through. It's not a long game. They mark it at 60 minutes. So, well, with all my commentary, but we'll see. We may speed up a little bit at some point. So now it's blue's turn again, and what are we looking to do? Well, we're looking to get close to other people and increase our values. Question is which one of these I want to kind of involve myself in. I'm going to go here. Doesn't really matter in terms of... Actually, I'm going to move my ship here. I'm going to drop a colony here. The reason is I want to get closer to where other people are, but I also want the colony. I'm not terribly interested in being peaceful in this game. I think I'm going to be building bases. And roll a quick die, and I get my band. Over to red. What are they doing? They have the hive. They have a couple of opportunities here available. I would like to kind of scope into a general area. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push into here and grab this very valuable space. Yes, I'm not really doing my hive-ish thing. I should be building these up. But no one says I'm going to be able to keep the hive. I only have one territory of it. And I get my own band. For yellow. Alright, things aren't really filling out, so it doesn't feel like the race for bases is here yet. However, I'm interested in bases. So there's a band here. This may be the most valuable place I can go. And I'll push a colony in. See, colonies are so valuable. You can leverage bases to take over colonies, but you'll keep most of the colonies you lay down early in the game. So he gets that same wooden die, pulls up the same result again and again and again effect. I really hate wooden dice. Over here on green, what is he wanting to do? Well, he's got expansion opportunities out here where no one is, and that's kind of appealing. He would like to hold on to his crystalloids, though, and other people are challenging that. I don't see a terribly easy thing to do to fix that. So let's shift down here. The idea being, well, I can already get to this planet. I can't get to this one yet. So I'll shift up here. And I'll go into here. That gives my band over here. I think we break again on this circuit round. Okay, I guess let's spend a little bit more time thinking about blue's turn. Now, just to give some idea of the kind of thought that goes into the game. Blue has the humanoids. They actually have a fair lead on them. They have two sectors with humanoids in them. Nobody else has more than one. Only one person has that. They're somewhat isolated. If they get into a fight for them, they will probably be able to keep them if they desire to. Question, of course, is how much they desire to. They're a nice thing. They give you some extra points and you don't necessarily have to do a whole hell of a lot. They're the opposite of the hive in terms of you want to have shared sectors rather than control them for yourself. But in both cases, they're kind of things where you don't have to work too hard and then get screwed, perhaps, by trying to fulfill those victory conditions. But you don't want to work too hard either. So I don't want to start filling out, you know, a one-pointer here unless I thought I was going to get the crystallines, because it's just a I'm sorry, that would be the hive. I don't necessarily want to try to put myself into low value areas that other people share. First of all, I don't know if they'll remain in that position. When the military conquest comes and takes place, I may end up getting control of all the planets in the area, which would be a good thing. But I also don't really know that I'm going to have the humanoids at the end. I don't want to make myself committed to them entirely. I certainly don't want to make choices where I'm choosing the humanoid victory conditions over, say, a 5-point area that I can expand to, which happens to be the best thing I can expand to right now. There are bands in these 3, so I can ignore them. Everything adjacent to my territories is pretty much valueless. So this is actually the best place. That doesn't mean I can't move my little spaceship, though. And for my little spaceship to move, I have to decide where I want to send them. I can send them into a band. And here I sort of look around to try to find where is their value that's not being exploited. And I'm not seeing a whole lot. There's some down here maybe. But for the most part, the most valuable stuff is being exploited. I'm going to push down here. That gives me a flexible down to these and this to see where that goes. And I'm going to drop this in this 5. Now that gives me a green. That's not going to beat anyone else. And I roll the die. And I get a red band here. And then we go on to, what, the red player, who's got to make the same kind of decision. I just wanted to kind of highlight what the decision making is as you start to get a little deeper into the game here. Now the red player with the hive can expand into his own territories, but he also has certain advantages to grabbing easy points. And right now, he's got no reason to believe he's going to hold on to the hive. So, where do I want to move my ship? Well, I like the hive. So I'm going to shift down this way, getting into hive-rich territories. And I could, of course, just grab this, but instead I'm going to grab this 6-pointer here. And I get my own band over here. Alright, what about yellow? The wargers are not terribly interesting to me. Nothing's filling up too much right now. It's hard to see with these stupid bands. So this could go military. Sometimes somebody grabs that one space. So green could grab that because they have the crystalline, or the crystalloids. So maybe they want to do that. What's my best expansion space? There's a 6 here. That's not too bad. I'm not really thrilled with wargers, but that's what I'm going to be improving on. In which case I want to be kind of in with other people, but I also want to be near the value spaces that I'm not near now. Now there are some value spaces here and some along here, and no, not really there. Of course, if I'm willing to do military, which I should be as the wargers, that will improve my position for that. So now my best place to expand into is here, and that's what we'll do. I'm moving my ship at the same speed. It doesn't really help much except that the ships are good for the military, and I may want to start building military soon. I get a card play. So for example, I'm looking for if there are any opportunities for a military base for yellow, but I didn't really see any. You can close off an area with a military base and thereby start the conquest procedure and get a more valuable colony that way. So, incomplete with at least one of my bases. I don't have that yet. Force field that protects me for a turn if I have a valuable planet. That's hard to choose to play. Except if you know that you're going to make it conquestable. Alien Embassy, place one on a loyalty pledge. That pledge gives me an add one to the token. So this may actually be helpful. Let me think if I've got anything that I can get for this. The Vargers I'm less interested in than anything else. But what else am I playing in? I'm playing in green and blue. Green only has one crystalloid, and he's holding it from that. So I could grab that from him. Alternatively, I could grab the Peace Folk. That's at direct opposition to the Vargers. I don't want to play that game trying to, hedge by bets everywhere. And those are the only ones I have right now. I'm going to play this and grab the crystalloids for now. That seems like a valuable thing, and I'll keep this under here just to help me remember what the hell that means. Because otherwise, the way I play, I probably will forget. Okay, now over to the green player. What does he want to do? Well, he's now just peaceful. He lost his crystalloids, and in fact, he'd have to get 2 more to end up winning them back, as is usually the case. So now my main goal becomes being peaceful. And I have to look for valuable areas. There's a 6 over here. That's pretty good. So I'll go into there. That puts me up to 2 hive. And I think that beats everyone else on hive. So I get to grab that. Now, the act of taking the hive requires that you be in lots of different areas, right? Whereas the value that it provides comes from having lots of things in one area, therefore maybe being in less total sectors. That's not that important though. These things only score at the end of the game. The key is getting control of them, and then at the end of the game you try to fill out your points for them, which is why people aren't really paying too much attention to them right now. Okay, so I just bumped into there. I get to decide to move my ship. That's a good question. I guess I supposedly should have done this before. I'm not sure it really matters. I'm not sure where I want to be. I can't make a good decision on that. And now I get a card play. My only card play is a discovery. Has to be a place where I have no basic colonies or military bases, and I take the least valuable available. Well, now we got a problem, because the crystalloids are no longer in my hands, so I can't just take that advantage. But I am going to play this with the intention of getting closer to the crystalloids, because I've already played into a 1 area. I've already expended a valuable action based on owning those. So now I'm tied with them, and this is one of the most valuable places on the board for me at this point. Alright, I think we're going to send this one up because we don't want to overload people with too long a video on something like this. There may be people, I don't know, who watch these who aren't used to my videos and where they've gone recently.